Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I'm out here with my fan base. Yes. See, they're right there. You'll probably hear them. They get really loud, like many other people online that are loud and obnoxious. They can be that way too. Anyways, so yeah, you're oh there. I see one right there. Your money. They're messing with it. You know they are. You know that they want to collapse the dollar. You know there's this global fight of who's going to be the prominent currency, and in the end establish the global world digital currency. You know, you'll get a microchip in your forehead and on the top of your hand, and that's how you'll buy your groceries. I mean, yeah, I could be exaggerating things a little bit, but it is actually happening that they're trying to just crash the system that we have right now. Tomorrow, the inflation numbers are supposed to come out, and everyone is speculating that inflation's going to be going up more. It's been going up consistently the last few months. It's way more than what they're saying. I mean, we're still in the 3 to 4% range is what the official numbers are, even though since the end of the pandemic, food alone has gone up 40%. At minimum 40%. That's an average. That means some things are like 100% or more increase in the last 3 years. But we'll just go with that. They're trying to push us into a digital currency. They're going into ridiculous amounts of debt, spending money like absolute insanity. Why? Because they're trying to bleed everything dry before it all collapses. You know, it's the greatest wealth transfer in human history. I stated that just right after the pandemic first started back in 2020, and I made that statement, and it is proven to be true. It's a global issue too. Russia and China, they're moving in to take advantage of it. They want to be, at least China has made it very clear, that they want to be the new world leader of the new world order, the Great Reset. In fact, Klaus Schwab has praised China as having the perfect blueprint and model of how a nation should behave. And recently, Russia and China has once again, and this has happened many times in the last couple of years, reiterated how close their ties are together with each other. Today, Xi Jinping stated that Russia and China are trying to basically establish a new monetary system. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what they said. They've both been hoarding up gold like crazy, buying massive amounts of gold over the last couple of years. In fact, no one really knows how much gold Russia has, because they talk about their reserves, which may not be accurate numbers, but Russia also is a huge producer of gold. No one really knows how much that is either. BRICS is becoming such a big force. We haven't talked about that in a while, but there's 30-some countries that's already stated this year that they also want to join BRICS, and already BRICS as a global market, as a GDP, is bigger than the G7. So, yeah, things are moving along. Zimbabwe, just this last week, came out with a new currency. It's all gold-backed. There's a lot of efforts that think it's pretty obvious. Gold itself has skyrocketed, right? We're in the 2380 is the range that it's at. So, I remember just last week we were talking about when it's going to break 2400. The week before or so, it was when it's going to break 2300. And if it keeps this up, we'll probably see $2,400 gold in the next few days. Silver's in the $28 an ounce range, and moving up. This is all, I mean, it's great if you got gold and silver, right? If you were smart enough, think about it. If you went back to 2010, 2011, something like that, and you moved your retirement investments into gold, think of how good it'd be for you right now. Probably, maybe not quite as good, obviously, as if you'd moved it into Bitcoin, but hey, still pretty good. Good for a long-term investment. Fact is that they're messing with the money purposefully. They don't want to crash the system, obviously, overnight, at least not yet. For whatever reason, they've still got some few ducks to line up, right? But they've talked about this. You know, it was like a year or so ago, a little over a year ago, that the FDIC had a meeting, and they were talking about how, you know, we could just overnight, over a weekend, banks could just start collapsing. You know, you go to you end work on a Friday and things are nice, and over weekend banks collapse, and by Monday morning, you know, we have a new currency. That was in their meeting. You can look it up on YouTube. There's videos of that. They've made it quite plain and clear that they absolutely want to move and shift to a digital currency. And like I've said many times before, the only way that's going to happen is that eventually the paper US dollar has to completely lose its value, which, in my opinion, the only reason it has any value whatsoever is just because people believe that it has value. It's not because it's oil backed anymore, because that's not true. Saudi Arabia and many other countries have been trading oil in other currencies, and it's not because of the military, because even though we still have the big military, I mean, in the last few years, we've been tuck-tailing running in Afghanistan and not really, you know, showing that there's a lot of strength, and a lot of the rest of the world is starting to laugh and mock the U.S. military because of their wokeness. And I'm not putting down anyone that serves in uniform at all. Most of you that are listening that serve in the uniform, you know what I'm talking about. It's shameful. It's a disgrace. And so the only thing that really gives our currency any value anymore is just that people believe that it has value. Because of the dumbing down of education, no one's, you know, any more smart enough to realize that it is just a piece of paper, that it has no value, that it's just a Federal Reserve note, it's private, it's not government, it's fake, it's unconstitutional, all this kind of stuff. That's the wonders of public indoctrination centers that are all over the place. But the thing is that it's happening at a slow pace. And I'm not saying it's going to be overnight. I'm not trying to, you know, sound the warning bells and alarms that tomorrow you're going to wake up with a hyperinflated dollar and no money in the bank and all that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that they're moving forward with this constantly. And a lot of these other things that get talked about in the news, whether they're real or fake, distract us from some of the real important stuff, like the things going on at the border and this devaluation of our currency and watching the world order switch over to China. In fact, the United Nations said, I think today or yesterday, that the alliance between Russia, China, and Iran is a very serious threat to the West. And we're watching them grow. Are they as big and strong as the United States and some of its allies? Maybe not, but they're advancing and we're regressing. And that's very typical when watching a nation that's currently the world order leader fade away and a new one step up to the plate and take over. We're in that transition period. And that's why there's wars all over the place. There's no America anymore that goes around and rattles its sabers and everyone listens and behaves. We're watching the upheaval. I believe it's biblical, and I believe it's going to get worse. And that's not trying to scare anyone. That's not any doom and gloom. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. There's not really any signs right now that things are going to see. Listen at them. It's just noisy. There's not any signs right now that anything's going to start turning around overnight anytime too soon. And so instead of sticking your head in the sand, you know, hiding in your hidey holes and worrying about the end, we need to get ready for it. We need to, you know, push against all this kind of stuff by living our lives and becoming as self-sufficient as possible, and which means cutting the umbilical cord from the system. You know, stop being as dependent upon it. Stop, you know, all the things that you need to live off of to survive. You need to cut ties with that if it's part of the system, and learn to do for yourself. Form small groups, small communities. It's going to be one of the biggest and best ways to do this, because you can't do everything on your own. You can't grow everything, make everything, build everything, defend everything, you know, treat everything all on your own. You need help. And so find others around you. That's very, very critical. Find the right place to do it. And start preparing now, getting moving in that direction. Because it's better for you to disconnect yourself from the system than to be forcibly disconnect at some future point when you're not ready. And that's going to happen. You're either going to be forced to disconnect from the system, or you're going to be forced to become total, complete slaves to the system. And either one of them are just not acceptable. So disconnect now on your own terms. That way it's an easier, less painful, and you can get a lot more prepared along the way. Folks, right now is the time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.